Hey folks, my daily driver for almost the past 2 years has been a Standard Range Plus Tesla Model 3. It has a rated range of 250 miles, and it's a fantastic car that I absolutely love driving. We do own a gas car. It's a 2013 Honda Civic. It has about 104,000 miles on it, and we recently did 2 trips to the beach over the last couple weekends. With the price of gas, I really wanted to see how much we would save driving the electric car versus the gas car and do kind of a breakdown here. So let's take a look at it. Before we get into the actual driving stuff, let's do a couple things I did to prepare the Tesla for actual road tripping. Number 1, I scheduled the charging time to make sure the battery was where I wanted it prior to leaving, which is as close to 100%, if not 100% as possible. This is only for road tripping. Number 2, I mapped out the route in the car just to make sure they would compare and see if I can make the charging stops and all that stuff without any issues. And number 3, I preconditioned the battery prior to leaving. This is especially more important in colder weather because it helps your battery function better and get more miles per charge. And a real quick warning here, I only charge the car to 100% when I'm going on a road trip and I know that I'm leaving as soon as it hits 100. It's a bad idea to keep your car at 100% for any real period of time. It just destroys the battery. Don't do it. Let's move on. So we live outside of Washington, D.C., and our first trip was heading out to Ocean City, New Jersey, which is roughly 200 miles one way or 400 miles round trip. Our second trip is to Chincoteague, Virginia, and it's essentially the exact same distance. It's just going south. In total, between driving there and around town, we did about 900 miles of driving over the 2-week period. So let's go ahead and break down the charging cost. On the days that we traveled, we spent a total of roughly $48 on electricity. And we can do a breakdown here. We spent $7 at our house to get the car ready to go. We spent $35 on superchargers, and then we spent $6 on trickle charging. And this is just using the charger that comes with the car, or used to come with the car, and it's basically really slow, but it works. So for the 900-ish miles that we spent that $48 on, let's compare what the trip would have cost us with the Civic compared to the Tesla. Now, I'm going to just make some assumptions here because I can't do it perfectly, but I'm going to say that the Civic is a road trip machine. It gets 40 miles per gallon, which I do achieve on highways on a regular basis. Now, I did other mixed driving, but we're just going to say it gets that 40 miles per gallon per comparison here. Now, if I take that 900 divided by 40, I'm going to use about 22.5 gallons of gas to be able to go that 900 miles. Gas is roughly about $4 a gallon right now, so it would have cost us about $90 to complete the entire trip. Again, that's assuming the Civic gets 40 miles per gallon the entire trip, all 900 miles. Now, if we want to break this down into gas would need to cost $2.13 a gallon in order to cost the same amount of money as the Tesla. But this is all a lie. Beyond the car, and by the car I mean a Civic, averaging 40 miles per gallon over that 900 miles of mixed driving, that's unrealistic. But we also didn't need to make all the supercharger stops that we did. We could have actually saved a good deal of money in the process. While superchargers make owning an electric car incredibly convenient and worthwhile, they're also incredibly expensive compared to an at-home charger or a trickle charger. They're about 3 times the price of a typical charger. One of the stops that we had on our way to Chincoteague was completely unnecessary. To get down to Chincoteague from our house, we didn't need to charge at all. We could have done it all in one trip, but I stopped because I just wanted to. And also on our way back from Ocean City, we charged far more than what we needed to. We were eating, so we just kind of let the charger go until we got up to 100% to continue our trip. And I was done my sandwich at that point. Realistically, we could probably save about $15 by eliminating or shortening our supercharger stops. And to account for the energy that we need to replace that, we'd spend an extra $5 on trickle charging. Because again, superchargers are roughly about 3 times more. So if we really wanted to save as much as possible, it would have cost us $38 to make the trip in our Tesla. That means that gas would need to cost $1.69 a gallon in order to break even with our Tesla. Now there's one thing I do need to talk about, and that's time. It takes time to charge. Getting gas is quick, easy, you just go. With charging, you do need to stop. But for our travels, we tend to need to stop during our trip to get a meal or for my 6-year-old to go to the bathroom. And that goes for my wife as well. We almost always tend to stay a little bit longer at a supercharger than is necessary just because we happen to time those things around eating and going to the bathroom, all of which take longer than what it would to charge the car for what it needs to complete the trip. I like to make sure we have enough charge to get back to our destination, and if we can't charge for any reason, we need to be able to get back to the closest supercharger. So I always charge up just a little bit more to make sure that we have enough to get back to an area that has electricity if we need it. And straight up, gas is easier. You don't have to plan around a lot of this. You don't have the worry or the range anxiety or any of that stuff. Now, I've had electric cars for almost 6 years at this point. That has largely gone out. But during road trips, when you're in unfamiliar places, sometimes you still just want to make sure you can get to where you want to go with your car. And that means that you're going to charge a little bit longer than what you need to and spend a little bit more money than what you have to. By the other side of this, when you're just using the car as a regular car, it's fantastic. I wake up every day and I have the mileage that I need plus a ton. My car essentially has quote unquote a full tank. I charge to roughly 80% every day. I'm ready to go at 80% every morning. I wake up with that. I can't say the same with the Civic. So there are pluses and minuses to both of these. But road tripping inside an EV is easily doable, especially in my area of the country where there are chargers and they are not busy and they're often not broken. Our car only has a range of 250 miles, which is pretty limited when you compare it to a lot of the other Tesla models. But we did an 1,800 mile road trip last year through northern New York and we had no problems. It was an absolutely great trip and I can't recommend it enough. So just a quick breakdown here again. We save a lot of money in saving on gas, especially as gas prices are high right now. We can save a lot of money on road tripping or just daily travel with an EV. As chargers become more available, as the infrastructure grows, it's only going to become easier to do these types of trips to make them efficiently and without worry. I'll catch you in our next video.